Ashley Strohmeyer live for us in New York. Ashley, thank you. Let's bring in former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo. John, great to have you on the show. You say the opening statement by the prosecution should doom this case on appeal. What do you mean by that?
Trace, it's because the DA here, when they made their opening statement, made this not about enforcing New York bookkeeping or an accounting law, which probably is past the statute of limitations anyway. Instead, they started out with saying Trump and National Enquirer and Michael Cohen engaged in a conspiracy to corrupt the 2016 election. But here's the thing you don't hear on places like CNN or MSNBC or the New York Times. It's not up to the DA of Manhattan to enforce federal election law. That is only up to the United States government and the Justice Department and the Federal Elections Commission. They looked at this case, they dropped it, they decided to bring no charges. State DAs from all over the country just can't start running around and saying, we're going to police national elections. That's up to us. Hillary Clinton didn't suffer. She won New York State handily.
Yeah, it's interesting because they keep saying, prosecutor says this is election fraud. Will somebody, I'm not a lawyer, John, but will somebody please give me a rundown? What does election fraud mean in this case?
First of all, there is no election fraud that occurred in New York State. Were there any votes that changed that would have made any difference in New York State by anything that happened here, even if it were true? If you took the New York DA's definition of election fraud, then you're going to open up the floodgates of prosecution. Why don't some red state DAs then prosecute all those intelligence officials who said Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian misinformation? Why don't you have DAs who are going to prosecute anyone paying for Hunter Biden's legal fees? Yeah. That's the kind of thing that can go on now if the Manhattan DA gets away with this kind of prosecution of Donald Trump.
Meantime, you have Michael Cohen who says this about Trump. Watch.
6 weeks of having to park his ass at the defendant's table and keep his big mouth shut is not going to be easy. How's he going to stay awake? No food or drink is allowed in the courtroom. So how's he going to get his Diet Coke caffeine fix?
He goes on his podcast, John. He goes on MSNBC. He just trashes the former president, and the former president, can't say a word.
This is why the Justice Department didn't bring this case. Michael Cohen is the star witness. This is a guy who had pled guilty to federal prosecution, to federal felonies, and now has changed his story. He might commit perjury during this trial. We'll find out whether he keeps the story a story B. But two, I think that this judge has gone way overboard with the gag order. Essentially, he has said that President Trump can't talk about anything outside the courtroom, including things that his own lawyers are going to say in the courtroom. In fact, the First Amendment, as it's been interpreted, means that we should all be able to hear what's going on in the courtroom. Why can't President Trump repeat the same defenses, the same criticisms of witnesses that his own lawyers are going to make in front of the judge, in front of the jury?
Very good point. John Yoo, great to have you. Thank you.